Hey, hope everybody's first week went okay. I know it was kind of a mini week and an introduction for us. This week we're going to start on the actual class material. So you got some lectures to watch, some notes to take and stuff like that. So let's go through what we've got. First thing, the first lecture we're going to do is Intro to Animals and Sponges and Cnidarians. So intro to animals, we're going to be looking at characteristics that all animals have in common, whether it's a big complex thing like an elephant or like a really small simple thing like a sponge. We're just in general going to talk about animals, different characteristics, different groups that they can belong to. And then after we've done that, we're going to start focusing on sponges and cnidarians. Those are the simplest animals. Like a sponge that grows in the ocean is actually an animal, even though you don't see it moving around or like swimming or anything. It's considered an animal. Cnidarians, we're going to be looking at things like anemones and jellyfish and things like that. So starting really simple, and then each time we have a new lecture, we'll get a little bit more complex until eventually we're talking about like mammals and reptiles and things like that. So that's our first lecture. Just a heads up, it is kind of long. I'm in the process of trying to re-record some of these things to make them shorter, and I haven't gotten around to that in this class yet. So what I would do is feel free to pause halfway through. Like if you only have 30 minutes, watch 30 minutes worth of lecture and then pause it and then pick up where you left off next time. Don't feel like you got to sit down and knock that out all at once. That's a huge benefit of an online class, is you can pause me when you're tired of talking to me. In class, they don't get to do that. So watch that lecture, and you have a review quiz that is going to be due on Sunday. So just after you've watched the lecture, take notes. You can study over it. You can look over it. And when you feel pretty comfortable, go ahead and take that review quiz. Review quizzes are really good to give you an idea of what types of questions you might see on the real test. I'm not saying they're test questions, but it's just the type of question that you might see on the test. So what I would do if it were me, I would try to take the quiz like by myself without notes or anything like that. See how many you know. Now don't submit it, because you can use your notes during the review quiz. That's perfectly okay. But you can kind of answer it on your own and then double check your answers and see how many you got right. So if you're getting 5 out of 5 every week, that means you're probably in good shape. If you're missing 3 or 4 every week, that means you might need to go back and study a little bit more. But make sure you got the right answer before you submit it, okay? So that's due Sunday. Other than that, a couple more things. Anything that was assigned last week that you didn't finish, so that was the About Me survey, the syllabus quiz, the diversity project. I know a lot of you have done all of those already, but those are all due on the 30th also. So if you haven't done that, get them done by Sunday. And then just a reminder, the labs activities that you need to do, the signing up for HOL Cloud, the getting started, and the lab safety. You need to do all of those this week, because next week is when we're going to start doing the real labs, like the actual lab activities. So go ahead and do that this week, and you'll have it out of the way and you won't have to worry about it. Last one, and this is important, so hang with me. I've got a practice exam. So our real test is going to be on it's going to be on September 7th and 8th. I'm going to have it open for those 2 days. But it's a real test where we're going to be using Respondus Lockdown Browser. Some of you may not have used that before, and I hear so many times students say, yeah, I had an instructor who used it, but they never watched the videos, or they didn't tell us what to do. I do, just being very upfront. I'll watch those videos. You're going to have instructions that you're going to have to follow if you want to get credit for the test. So to make sure we all understand each other, we're going to do a practice exam this week, really low pressure, just to make sure we know how this works and that you don't have any technical issues when the real test comes around. So if you'll go over to the exams tab, there's a folder that says practice exam. You can click on that. There are instructions. There's a link to download Respondus Lockdown Browser if you need to do that. And then your test is 5 questions. You do not have to study. Literally, some of the questions are, what year is it and how many letters are in the word biology? You don't have to study. I just want you to take this practice exam. Like I said, number 1, to make sure you don't have any technical hiccups or technology issues. I want to make sure we can all use the Lockdown Browser. Number 2, before you start the test, and even on this practice exam, even though it's not real biology questions, before you start the test, you're going to have to go through a startup sequence where you take a picture of yourself, You're going to have a your student ID or some type of a photo identification. So just kind of hold that up and take a picture of it when it tells you to do that. But the big one is you're going to have to do an environment check, and the webcam is going to be on you during the test. So what this is, just being totally upfront, this is to make sure you're not cheating. In a real class, when we were given a test, I would make sure everybody had everything off their desk, that you didn't have, like your phone out or anything like that. So this is just the online version of that. You're going to have to record your desk or table surface in front of you, and you're going to do a quick 360 of your environment just to show what's around you. Okay. After you have done that, so read the instructions, it'll tell you to put everything away. After you have done that, it's going to keep recording you throughout the whole thing, and you're going to have to be focused on your webcam. It actually can detect when you're looking away. So like if you're spending your whole test doing this, you won't get credit because you're obviously not looking at the test. This is the online version of eyes on your own paper. That's all that is. You got to be looking at the test during the test. So it's a chance for us to kind of practice, make sure you can do that. After you've done the practice exam, I will watch them, I'll review them, and if there's any issues, I'll send you a message and say, hey, you need to change this. You might have to redo the practice exam just to make sure that you know how to follow the instructions. But that's all that is. And if you'll do it, as long as you follow the directions, I'll give you 5 bonus points for that. So that can help a little bit too. All right. So that's got it. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to say that every week. It's just kind of like a reflex at this point. But seriously, if you watched a lecture and you were really lost on something, I don't want you to stay lost. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll be glad to help. All right. Hope y'all have a good week.